4 business books to be a more strategic thinker. In this video I want to present you 4 books that are absolutely must to read. Not only gonna give you those books the inspiration to start, but they're actually gonna give you value in forms of a lot of different knowledge. So you cannot summarize those books, you actually have to read them, because in each side there's certain value that you should apply into your business. This video should be also something against all the other videos out there where they're just gonna present like the most famous business books that are out there. I truly believe that the most essential business books that you have to read are not the bestsellers out there, but actually the hidden champions that most big entrepreneurs know about, but many people who are just watching YouTube videos don't know about at all. So let's start with the first business book, and it's called High Output Management by Andrew Grove. It's a classical book and many people in the Silicon Valley sphere know about that book, but I can absolutely agree that none of you probably have heard of this book. And I haven't heard about this either. Like, I've heard it from a friend when I started to talk with him about management. He recommended it to me. He was living in Silicon Valley for a long time. And he said it's a must to read, because that basically teaches you everything that you have to know about the right management. And also, since the book was written back in those days, even though some social justice things already started, or people start to confuse like incentives with just classical things that workers need to be productive, this book really summarizes what you really need in management to get people working. It's not about the small perks that you give the employees, like having a ping pong table, having a hair salon in your office, but it's actually about the values that your company provide, the hustle culture, the strategy that is implemented in your business. All of those things are much more important, and you will be much more highly likable that you're gonna keep your employees if you focus on those essentials instead of switching and going to those extremes. High output management will teach you the most essential strategies that you have to follow in business to become a good manager. The second book is Blue Ocean Strategy by Renée Mauborgne. This book basically teaches you about how to identify blue oceans. Blue oceans are unsaturated markets. It was basically one of my fundamental points why I called my course, my mentorship, Unsaturated Markets, because I really believed that I found one of those blue oceans, and that's what I was teaching. The most important part about blue oceans is to identify whether it is still a blue ocean and how to go about it, or if it's already red ocean. And many people confuse that, and that's why it's super important to read the book to actually understand it, because for you it makes sense. Oh, don't go into red market, red ocean, go into blue ocean. That makes completely sense, right? But you actually have to understand the strategies behind it to identify those markets. As I'm teaching, I'm not telling you exactly to 100% what you have to do. I'm going to tell you everything what you have to do to 99%, and the rest of the 1% you got to find out yourself. You got to experiment, you got to test out, and that's where basically the blue ocean is. Think about it. Like, if somebody starting with film, he's not going to explore everything directly from the start. He's not going to question everything. He's going to learn the basic principles that are out there, and then from there, when he got 99% of the knowledge, then he's gonna start to experiment. Keep that in mind. The third book that I really like to read is Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. It gives you a good overview that we have 2 systems in our brain, the fast thinking and the slow thinking. Basically, the fast thinking is from the evolutionary perspective super important back in those days when you had to react. When something happened, somebody attacked you and you had to do a choice directly, so you just went more with intuition. And the fast and the slow thinking actually comes from the strategic thinking. So that's more about like actually getting a plan for the future. I've personally found a lot of inspiration from that book, and probably took some of the concepts and teaching them right now in the YouTube videos. The most important things that you learn from this book, if you want to become a strategic thinker, are that for certain tasks you want to use the slow thinking mechanism, and you want to understand when you are in the slow mechanism. You want to understand how you can put yourself in those situations. You want to understand if you're being rational. And also you want to understand that most people are not rational, so you cannot have normal conversation with them about some strategic things, for example. But most people actually just are stuck in the fast thinking sphere, so you have to know how to talk with them. And maybe even think about bringing them into those stages so they're more highly likable to do certain things that you want them to do. If you want to do a sale, it's much more easier to get a sale done if they not overthink things. And the last book that I want to recommend is Principles from Ray Dalio. Ray Dalio is becoming more famous nowadays, but when I was reading them, not many people, especially on YouTube, knew about Ray Dalio. He wrote this book Principles, where he explains all the cycles that humanity went through, all the cycles from economical perspectives, from history, and all of that. If you read the books, you understand the basic principles of how to identify the basic principles, what are those, and you will start to see repeating pattern in those. So that's a classic book that you have to learn if you want to become a more strategic thinker. All those books, beside the first one, High Output Management, are basically helping you to identify how to be a strategic thinker instead of teaching you like the smaller things that you have to do to actually get other outcomes that you want to have. I think it's an art in itself that you actually spend most of the time right now learning about how to learn and how to think, because that's the most fundamental stone. And those books are really helping you. The longer you read about them, the longer you're really stuck with the thoughts that the authors are giving, the better it will be in your brain. And also I would recommend to follow the guys, because they are also publishing a lot of comments on the books, some new thoughts that they have. You want to be always up to date on what is happening. So yeah, I hope you liked the video. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell button. Also like the video, comment what you learned under the video, comment your books that you think are essentials if you want to become a strategic thinker. And with that being said, I'm gonna see you on the next video. Cheers.